Welcome to another edition of Recovery Monday, brought to you with the good folks at Powell CDC right here on webcast1live.com and the Truth Network, 99.3 FM. Or if you're listening on the American Family Radio Network on this Sunday evening, we thank you. We thank you for taking the time. Why do we do this show? Well, do I really think a bunch of drunks are sitting around a Christian radio station listening to preaching and teaching? No, not completely. But I do think somebody that you know has an alcohol problem. I do think you're worried about your husband or your wife. I think you're worried about your niece or nephew. I think you're worried about somebody in your Bible study. I think you're worried about that lady that sings in the choir that doesn't show up as much as she should. And sometimes when she does, she's not feeling very well, quote, unquote. We do this radio program for you to help give you, maybe you're an Al-Anon, maybe you're just a concerned person, maybe you're a codependent, maybe you're one of those that have somehow been caught in the trap of alcoholism and you yet have never taken a drink yourself. That's who this show is for. My co-host is Lila Stafford, who is a professional counselor. Well, I guess you're just a counselor. I mean, is there such a thing as an unprofessional counselor?
I don't know.
She's a addiction counselor. And my other co-host is Bob Montserrat. And for 34 and a half years, I guess you're still a forensic scientist.
Yes, I still.
But you're not doing that on a day-to-day basis.
Nope, I am not.
But you're still on DMORT.
Yes.
Which is a team of people that are called to different parts of the world when there is drastic life lost. You went to 9/11, you went to Katrina, you went to Flight 232 in the Midwest when those people died. Where else have you been?
Guam,
Yeah.
Florida.
Way too many. And Bob is one of the most leading experts in alcohol and alcoholism, and is called to testify in court cases across the country. So we're lucky to have Bob here. Now, alcohol isn't the only thing we talk about. In fact, if you look up into the 12 steps of a 12-step program, only the first mentions alcohol. If you want to replace alcohol with anger, food, self-confidence or lack of, drugs, gambling, body image, whatever your hurt, habit, or hang-up is, you can replace that word alcohol in step one, put whatever you need in there, and then just do what the big book tells you to do. And we find that if you follow the suggestions made in that incredible 70-year-old program, you will get sober and remain sober and eventually have a spiritual awakening that will change you and everybody in your life. All right, today we've got a very special guest. His name is Mike D., and he has written several books. His latest book is Letting God In. One alcoholic talks to another about AA's fourth step. Now, welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to have you here.
Good to be here.
Mike's got 26 years sober, been married to his lovely bride, Lynn, for 30 years. Any babies?
We have 3 children. We have 2 sons and 1 daughter.
Any grandchildren?
1 granddaughter.
1 granddaughter. All right. And you have made it, you took the 12 steps seriously. You said, I'm going to spend my life helping other alcoholics get through this disease.
I took the 12 steps seriously because I was so desperate. I knew I was going to die.
Yeah.
But I knew that I was going to have to take once I got through the 12 steps, I knew that I was going to have to take the 12th step seriously because I had a huge desire to help others who had suffered like I suffered.
Yeah, and let me give you the 12th step. I'd like to read it from heart, but I'm seeing, having had a spiritual experience. I can't look at Lila. He's got the book right there. You got what is 12th step? Having had a spiritual experience.
So I won't leave out a word. Step 12 is having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps. We tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs.
Yep. So when you're done healing yourself, you will have, most people have, a desire to help other people.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what happens if I have noticed that people that keep relapsing, never get through the steps, and so all they're doing is paying attention to themselves the whole time. Everything's about them. So I really encourage people that keep relapsing to try to get through these so that they can start helping other people, because it holds you accountable. And most people won't tell other people to do something that they don't want to do themselves or that they won't do.
Right. And what I have found in the few sponsorees that I've had is they make my program better.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to be selfish, but I like sponsoring people because it makes my program better. I'm more accountable to myself when I'm just like you said, when I'm asking my guys, hey, you doing this, you doing that, you doing this? And they have every right to look at me and say, yeah, I am. How about you?
Exactly.
And that's the way it should work. All right. Now, this book specifically focuses on the fourth step. And read the fourth step for us, if you would.
The fourth step is made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves.
Make a fearless and searching
And thorough.
and thorough.
Right.
Tell me what you think fearless means.
You're going to be afraid, but you just do it anyway. You don't let your fear stop you.
And what would some of the fears be that would stop us from making a searching moral inventory?
One of the biggest things that I've found with all the guys that I've sponsored, and not to mention myself, is that they're afraid, we are afraid that we're going to find out that we're more terrible than we thought we were.
Right.
We think that we're going to, if we dig too deep, for instance, search too fearlessly, that we're going to find that we're more evil than we ever suspected.
Here's what I know about alcoholics. They don't like pain. Any kind of pain, emotional pain or whatever. And the idea of going deep is the main reason they were probably drinking to begin with, because they didn't want to feel anything.
Yeah.
So the idea of going to that place in their heart that they were trying to avoid to begin with is very scary.
How many times have I heard guys say to me, well, I'm afraid that if I look at this stuff, it's going to cause me to drink because it'll be so painful.
Yeah.
If I look at this, I know I'll drink.
And what do you say back to him, Mike?
And I say, you're not going to drink. What we're going to find out is we're going to find the real you. And the real you is not who you think you are.
Mike D is my guest today, letting God in. One alcoholic talks to another about AA's Step 4. And you can find more about Mike. Let me give you his Blogspot address. And Ryan, for those of you watching this on a webcast, you're able to pull this up, but I'll say it slow enough for you if you grab a pencil and paper, and I'll do it several times during the show if you're audio only. It's Mike D, so M-I-K-E-D, the initial D, author. Mike D. Author, AUTHOR.blogspot.com. And I'm looking at it right now, and you've written things, and you put this on here as well as talked a lot about what's in this book.
That's correct.
When did you first take your drink? When was the first time you took a drink?
I took my first drink when I was about 15 years old.
And how
my
did,
first real drink.
Where did that alcohol come from?
I can't remember where it actually came from now.
Okay, family related?
But somebody, one of my friends had it, and my parents were gone, and we had enough beer that we could all drink as much as we want to, and that was the first time I really became intoxicated.
So you got drunk that night?
Yes, I did. I got drunk.
And what was the next morning like?
The next morning was pretty rough, but I remember what the feeling of drinking was.
And you liked it?
It gave me an in-control feeling.
An in control?
Exactly.
Not an out of control?
In control.
That's interesting. What did you feel in control of when you were drunk?
Everything. Felt like I had the world by the tail.
That's cool.
And
I mean, it's not cool, but it's very interesting that you know that.
Since then, I've talked to people who are not alcoholics, and they said, the thing that I really don't like about drinking is it gives me that out of control feeling. And I go, what?
Yeah.
It gives you a what feeling?
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't know what you're drinking, but I can tell you what I drank, and it worked for me.
I always tell people that you might know you're alcoholic. You might know you're alcoholic when your friends are all sitting around a table and one of them takes a drink and goes, whoa, okay, I've had enough. Somebody get me water or coffee. And you pick up the drink and drink it and go, okay, wow, I got that feeling. Give me a double. Give me a triple.
Here we go.
Fill it up, yeah. And so many times that is the line, isn't it? They like the feeling or they don't.
Yeah, I believe that's true.
Now, here's a metaphysical question, and if you don't have the answer, that's fine. I don't either. That's why I'm asking. What do you think is different in your brain or my brain or Lila's brain that when we hit that feeling, we go floor it, and normies, that's what we call people who can drink and not be affected by it or don't drink very much, hit that feeling and go, stop. It's like their common sense kicks in. Or do we lack that common sense?
The only thing I can say to that is I believe that I had so many insecurities and lack of confidence and all those icky feelings that perhaps normal people don't have when they're just up walking around. And I had those feelings, and when I took a drink, it all disappeared. And I felt bigger and stronger and faster and way better looking.
Yeah, way better looking. That's right. What is it you always say? But when you were drunk, you thought what? Or no, maybe that's somebody else. Marlou always says it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's much better looking and you know, much more appealing to men at the time or something like that. My guest is Mike D. Mike D. You can check out his blog spot at Mike D. Author. Mike D. Author, AUTHOR.blogspot.com. And his latest book is Letting God In. One alcoholic talks to another about AA's Step 4. And we're going to unpack Step 4 today in our program. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to call in on the show, 1-855-244-0077. Or Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, is watching the chat, so you can jump on Webcast One Live. WebcastOneLive.com and join in on the live chat. Now, why did you choose to write a book about the fourth step?
The reason I wrote, I felt compelled to write about the fourth step was that when I would, in my time of going to so many meetings, and I went to a lot of meetings, I always have all the way through, I saw so many people come in and go out and come in and go out and suffer worse each time. And what I found was that they were always on step one, or they were always on step two. They were messing around with step three, and then they'd relapse, and then they'd come back and they'd tell us all about how terrible it was out there, and that they had to come back, and they'd say, well, I'm on step one. I just got tired of watching people go in and out, you know.
Yeah, they say if you don't do a thorough 4 and 5, that there's a good chance you're going to relapse.
There's a good chance that you will. I understood why so many people avoided the fourth step, and that's because I avoided it myself for a little while. And I also understood because I sponsored, I have sponsored a lot of guys, and they always had a lot of fears. And so and they would always come over to my house, one by one guy at a time. They would come over to my house, and we'd go through the big book, and they would talk. And the thing that I heard all the time was fear, fear, fear.
Yeah, that's one of your chapters, in fact. What is fear? What must I do? What is faith? Why all these people? What is guilt? What's a resentment? We're going to talk about all these there in Mike's new book, Letting God In. Mike D. is the author, and we're coming back. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. I love this job. Couldn't do it without you. Right here on WebcastOneLive.com on the Truth Network, 99.3 FM.
mother who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places, especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's AMCO on Hickman Road in front of Kmart, and it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give AMCO on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. Welcome back to this edition of Restoring Hope Live right here on the American Family Radio Network. We appreciate you taking the time to listen this evening live, or perhaps you're listening on a podcast. You can find all of our podcasts at restoringhopelive.com. Just click on archives. They'll take you to our YouTube page, and there are all of our shows over the last 3 years. My co-host is Lila Stafford, who is a certified counselor in addiction and recovery. Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, watching the chat, who is one of the country's most sought after experts on alcohol and alcohol, probably not alcoholism, just alcohol.
Right. The amounts that people consume, what it takes to get to certain levels, the effects of alcohol in the body, those kind of. How many drinks a person had to get to this test level?
Yeah, I had somebody asking me the other day, and I got concerned after a while because I was texting you, and she was saying, now, if a person who is drunk committed suicide, how long until the alcohol is out of the system until the body's found?
Well, within the human body, the liver is where alcohol is metabolized or oxidized or burned off. It's converted and broken down. Once a person stops breathing or dies, then that stops the metabolism. But the thing you have to consider is the time factor. Is the person decomposing? I mean, are they laying there for a long time? Because if that happens, a person will actually, decomposing body will generate alcohol.
Really?
Within the body, yes.
Like fermenting?
Yes. It's
heard that.
Product of decomposition.
Wow.
Bacteria working will produce alcohol. So
even if there's no alcohol in the system?
Yes.
Wow.
So that's why I was saying that sometimes what they'll do is they'll take urine, if that's present. They'll take blood, heart blood. and they'll take eye fluid, vitreous, and then they'll compare them. And usually the vitreous is more protected and will give you a more accurate reading. So they do the comparisons and try to estimate, but it's not going to be exact.
I think that's interesting that the decaying body, the decaying human body, produces alcohol, whether there was alcohol present or not.
Something to look forward to.
There you go. Oh, please don't. Yeah, I don't want to be ashes to ashes anymore. Just let my body sit. Mike D. That was the joke I was looking for. That's it, too. Mike D. is my guest, and he is the author of Letting God In. One alcoholic talks to another about AA's Step 4. And this is a great book. How many chapters do you have here? All right, so you've got 19 chapters.
19.
Well written, small or medium-sized print for guys like me. That's wonderful. It starts out by saying, what is a sponsor? Explain to me what you think the importance of a sponsor is, because obviously you had one, or you've had several, and you have sponsored young men. And my guess is after 26 years, there's probably a pretty big team there of sponsorees, grand sponsorees, people who you've sponsored, who they've sponsored, who they've sponsored.
The guy that I approached for sponsorship was a guy that I observed him for a long time, and I saw that he was just happy and at peace all the time. And I could tell that he was doing something different than what I was doing and what a lot of other people that I was around in AA were doing. And I asked him out for coffee, and he told me that if I wanted him to sponsor me, that he was going to take me through the 12 steps.
Okay.
And I said, I'm definitely up for that. And we commenced to doing that. And what he helped me do was, what I really did is I worked through the 12 steps as I allowed God into my life like I'd never allowed him into my life before. And not only allowed him into my life, but I put myself under new management. I was no longer in charge of my life.
Yeah, God was.
God.
Now, where was your spirituality? You said you started drinking at 15. And when did you quit drinking? At what age?
I believe I was 39 or something like that when I
quit drinking.
Quit drinking. Yeah.
What was your spirituality at 39?
I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, it was 0.
Okay. Didn't go to church?
Didn't go to church. I fully believed in God. I fully believed in Jesus as my Savior. You know.
You believe that?
Firmly believed that.
But you didn't practice
but
it.
I
You
didn't
weren't
practice.
obedient.
I didn't practice it. I didn't make it a part of my life. And God was out there in the universe, but he wasn't in my life.
Okay, he was just that guy from
Right.
the previous testament,
Yeah.
which was mad all the time.
Right.
All right.
It's very hard to take God on that track when you're off track.
Yeah.
Very few people do.
Yeah.
Kind of leave them over there so you can go do the things you want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's true.
Mike D is my guest. He's written a book, Letting God In. One alcoholic talks to another about AA's Step 4. And Step 4 is to have a fearless and searching moral inventory of yourself. Describe for somebody who doesn't know anything about the steps how deep we go on that Step 4. And I'm thinking about the worksheets and things like that.
Right. How deep do we go?
Yeah.
That's your real question.
Well, I think I must have asked the wrong question because he's questioning my question.
Well, I just want to make sure what you want to know.
I want to know everything you do, Mike.
The main thing with me was I probably only intended to go about so deep, but the more I began to work Step 4, I became more and more willing incrementally as things went along, and the further I went, the further I went. And I finally got to a place where I really wanted to know what was wrong with me. I really wanted to know what I was all about and what I really was.
Yeah, and I know this is semantics, but I'd like to, if I could go back and edit this out, I would edit out that line you said, what was wrong with me. Because the next two things are really what we do. We find out what we're all about. We find out what makes us tick. And most men and women, whether they're alcoholic or not, they only want to know the good stuff that makes them tick. Alcoholics, we're faced with finding out the bad stuff that makes us tick, that winds us up, that makes us drink so unreasonably. And that's what that step 4 does. Because there isn't anything wrong with you. You are made in the image of God, and he loves you. But you have in flesh adapted an addictive behavior, which the accuser puts on earth to destroy us and to destroy our relationship with that creator.
See, that's what I found at the end of all this, that I really was made in the image and likeness of God.
But I loved what he said. You know, you start out, I think most people do, with step 4, thinking, oh, I'm just going to name all the stuff I did that caused me problems, and then we'll be over this. But if you do a thorough 4-step, you keep having to answer these questions that they lay out there, and pretty soon you get deep into it without knowing. Then, just like you said, you get curious. Well, why did I do that? You know, you really have to dig deep to find out, and
I wanted to find
life-changing.
out what my defects of character really were.
Yeah. I didn't want to, I don't like that name, but I did want to find out why I was doing things. There's just some defects of character makes me feel like something's really wrong with me, but that's the term they
maybe
use.
the base word is sin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. Mike D is my guest. He wrote the book, Letting God In. One alcoholic talks to another about the 4th step of the 12-step program. But I think it's interesting the way you put that, Mike, because and I'm asking you a question. I'm not making a statement. In fact, I'm asking you both a question. For the person that's really genuine and really wants to solve this problem of his or her alcoholism, it does become a journey of curiosity to solve a problem rather than pushing someone to dig where they don't want to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a couple people do 4 steps, and I look at it. It's obvious they don't want to get well. They want to get through the step.
Right. They just want to get through it.
Yeah, they just want to be able to chalk that one off and collect another chip, and pretty soon we get to 12, and then I'm done. And honey, look, I'm cured. Because I'm not here for me. I'm here for you. Honey, look, I'm cured. I got all the 12 steps done. See, I got the little coins.
Yeah. Now can we get back together?
Yes, right, right. Judge, will you leave me alone? I always say, you know you're an alcoholic if you got a problem with your liver, your lover, or the law. Liver, lover, the law. Those are the people who know that they drink too much. So what do you think the difference is of the person who just wants to get through it and get it done so they can check it off, and the one, and I like what you said, they get to the point where the curiosity takes over, and they want to know why they did and do what they did and do.
For me, it was how desperate I was.
What made you desperate?
I knew that I needed to make this work.
Why?
So because I knew I was going to die.
Okay. Had you had a doctor tell you something?
No.
You
no,
just knew?
No. I didn't take my disease to my doctor.
Okay.
No, I knew how that conversation would come out, you know.
What about the family life at home with your wife and kids? Were you getting pressure there?
I wasn't getting any severe pressure from family members. It all came from within me. I was I felt like I was just wasting away. I was dying. As a matter of fact, I because I believed I was going to die soon, I built my 3-year-old daughter a doll cradle so she would have something to remember me by.
Oh my!
I knew I was going to die. It was just the biggest fact in my mind.
And you didn't think it was going to be suicide?
That suicide thing was getting closer and closer.
Okay.
But I knew that I was going to die one way or the other.
And let's jump right into that river denial. If you think for 1 minute drinking yourself to death isn't suicide, just ask your creator when you get there, if you get before him, because that's suicide.
Right.
You know, we don't get to smoke 2 packs a day and drink a gallon of rum a day or a fifth or whatever it is and look at our Creator in the end and say, I took care of this temple.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Mike D is my guest. Frank, I have a question, Bob, for you here from Frank. I think the saying by men is women always look better at closing time. Ask Bob if he has an opinion why, when inebriated, while many senses slow, hearing seems to get sharper and more acute, particularly while enjoying music.
So the question is why?
Yeah, why did those senses change? You enjoy music more, women get better looking, men get better looking.
Because alcohol changes everything from normal to an abnormal, meaning so that your vision isn't as good anymore. And your hearing isn't as good anymore. So so when that happens, those things are acceptable. Things that were not acceptable before become acceptable.
Your inhibitions are also
Absolutely.
slowed
Reduced.
down. They're just they're not there. So all that stuff that maybe you were dreaming about, thinking about, come up for you, and you just
And everything looks good.
Yeah.
Everything,
you wake
It sounds
up.
good.
everything looks better at closing time.
That never did before to you.
Yeah.
All right, we started to talk to Mike D about his sponsor. We're going to get more into the fourth step, probably not his fourth step, but we're going to get more into a fourth step so we can understand more of what this is about. Later on, we're going to talk about what is a resentment. Man, that is every family is a petri dish creating resentments. Yes, even your perfect family. And if you're willing to look beyond perfect and willing to look at the fact you're dysfunctional, which every family is, what resentments are being created, grown in that petri dish? Because that's where a lot of alcoholism comes from. We'll do that when we come back live on the Truth Network, 99.3 FM. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs,
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're gonna make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do. What type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
Welcome back, Recovery Monday on this gorgeous day. If you're listening on the Truth Network, 99.3 FM, thank you very much for listening. If you're watching or listening to this on a podcast, you can get all of our podcasts, restoringhopelive.com or webcast1live.com. They all kind of point in the same place. Mac, M-A-C, McCoy, M-C-K-O-Y, not a C, I'm English, M-C-K-O-Y.com. They're all available there. All the greatest hits from the last couple of years. Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, watching the chat. He's here. He said if you want to understand the questions to all Frank's answers, go to YouTube and put in best, what did you say it was?
The DUI sobriety test.
Best DUI sobriety test on YouTube, and you'll understand. Okay.
How your vision is impaired when you drink.
Okay. Lila Stafford, she is a certified counselor at a treatment center called Powell CDC. They are always waiting for your call. You don't have little men in white coats jump out and run you down. You have people who care, and they're going to answer your questions. They're there to be a source, because if it's your spouse, your son, your nephew, your niece, your brother, your sister, maybe your pastor, somebody on the church board, maybe in the choir, you can sense an alcohol issue. Sometimes it's as easy as smell. Sometimes it's the way they walk or the way they talk. Sometimes what we don't notice, it's their absence. We call it the brown bottle flu or the brown bag flu. Many times people who have issues with alcohol will be ill quite often. Oh, they're just not feeling very well. They got a headache. It's never related to alcohol, but it's always related to abuse. And the people at Powell CDC can help you. They can answer those questions for you. Certified counselors all over the place. If you can't find Lila, ask for D. If you can't find D, ask for Kim. But just ask for somebody. And let them begin to bring you comfort, serenity, peace, even some joy that there is hope. There is hope. Whether it's your son who came home from school drunk and he's only 15 and you never believed this would happen, or it's your husband who comes home drunk every night at 63 and you knew exactly what would happen. Because every day it's the same old, same old, same old. And just like the person who's addicted, they're getting sick and tired of being sick and tired. My guest is Mike D. He's written a brand new book, Letting God In. One alcoholic talks to another about step 4. You said you drank for 21 years then, 15 to 36?
That's correct.
Just share with some of us what some of those things that happened to you in your life over that period of time that eventually brought you to say, I'm done.
Well, I was one of those guys that didn't get thrown in jail all the time. I did get a DWI once, but it wasn't chronic in that way. I was always able to keep my job, keep my marriage, keep everything intact. Some people would call me functional, but they couldn't see what I looked like inside. And inside I was falling apart.
They say that a good alcoholic has the self-confidence of a pea, an ego the size of Manhattan.
Exactly.
Yeah. You never know inside just how fragile they are. And a lot of time that's a fear of abandonment and betrayal. They can't handle the thought that one more person's going to turn away from them.
I can understand that, yes.
Yeah. It talks about in the big book on the chapter to the wives, I think it's like 113 or 114, and they lay out the different kind of alcoholics there are, step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4. And with step 3, it talks about the fact that you may have a spouse at home that doesn't care if you drink, don't chew on you, never notice, glad to put you to bed at night, et cetera, et cetera. And we just had a meeting on that. And many of the people in that room, female or male, said that they were very fortunate to have a very supportive spouse. And one way or another, that supportive spouse had heard or read out of the big book that until Mac till Lila decide to get sober, there's not much you can do. Either reject them or support them all you can.
It had to be my decision.
Yeah, it
It
had,
had to be my decision. My wife, I would never call her an enabler, but she used to bring me shots of whiskey in the bathtub.
Wow. Now, talk about your first sponsor without name or anything like that. Is he still with us?
He had to move out of state some years ago. Actually, he has a job in radio himself.
Okay.
And he took a job in another state, but he left me in good shape. When he got done with me, I was definitely on the road to sobriety. And,
Did you get through all 12 with him?
Yes, I did.
Okay. How long did it take you? First of all, did the first fourth step take?
How long did the first fourth step take?
No. Did it take? How many 4 steps have you done?
I did one in treatment in Powell. I did. That was what they called a life story, and all that was a sad story that I wrote about myself. You know, to make people feel sorry for me.
Oh, poor Mike.
After
he can't help it.
After I entered AA, I wrote the honest one.
Okay.
And that was the one that was fearless and thorough, and it was the real deal.
And it stuck.
And it stuck.
How long after you got out of Powell, your treatment center, until you did your 4 step, the one that stuck?
I would have to say it was about probably a year, because I probably stayed sober in Alcoholics Anonymous a year just by going to meetings.
Okay.
And,
didn't work the steps, just...
I wasn't really working the steps.
Were you 90 meetings in 90 days?
Yes, and I had developed somewhat of a prayer life. I was asking God for help all the time.
Okay.
But I was still coming to understand that there were people in AA who were actually working these steps that they read at the beginning of every meeting. You know, you go to enough meetings, you hear how it works read enough, and you hear those steps, and it finally starts to click.
Yeah. Rarely have we seen. Mike D is my guest. You can pick up his book. Imagine it's on Amazon.
Yes, it is.
King's Christian Bookstore in Boone.
Yes, it's at King's.
Hopefully soon to be at Powell. Letting God In. One alcoholic talks to another about the 4th step. How long did it take you to do the 4th step?
You know, I can't remember for sure, but it was a process that probably took... I probably spent about a month on it, maybe 3 weeks.
Okay.
Because I was trying to, you know, and I wasn't doing it all in one sit-down sitting. I was working on it as I went. I don't really remember the time span for actually writing the 4th step.
Do you remember what do you remember thinking, oh man, I don't want, this is the hard part. I don't want to do this.
I had fears.
Fears.
Yeah, I had some fears that cropped up in me about it.
What were you afraid of? Because fear means afraid of something.
Well, as an alcoholic, I believe that an alcoholic like me is really, when it comes right down to it, only afraid of one thing: truth. That was the scariest thing for me, the truth.
Yeah, you know, they say at the root of every sin is a lie.
Exactly.
And we drink to avoid the truth. Mike D is my guest today as we take our next break. Real quickly, what's a resentment?
For me, it was refilling old pain over and over and over again by choice.
It was letting somebody live rent-free in your head.
That's another good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yes.
They had no idea, and it's eating you up every single day.
They're sleeping like babies at night, and I'm tossing and turning.
Yeah. Don't want to underplay that at all, because when you figure out what a resentment is and how you get it, and most importantly, how you get rid of it, life for an alcoholic or a normie or anybody will change. and it'll improve. So we're going to talk about how you get rid of a resentment when we come back with Mike D live here on RestoringHopeLive.com.
A father who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can give these grandkids back, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We can help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. All right, 10 before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News. Next on the Truth Network, and then Pastor Michael Mudloff with True Blue from Westkirk Presbyterian. We've been talking with Mike D., who wrote a book, Letting God In. One alcoholic talks to another about the fourth step. And if you've never read the big book, that's what it's called, the big book of the 12-step program. Go buy yourself one. Are they available in regular bookstores?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But we have them at Powell as well.
Have them at Powell. Get them on a website. You don't want to be embarrassed. Get it over the mail. And I understand if you're embarrassed, that's okay. Alcoholism itself shouldn't embarrass you. Let me repeat that. Being involved with alcoholism in any way, shape, or form shouldn't embarrass you. It's the actions of you, the sober, enabling one. Ooh, I said that word. You don't like it when I say that word, do you? That you might be enabling someone. That'll be your time to look at that. Remember, denial is not just a river in Egypt. And the other side of it is, if you know that there is someone hurting, pick up a copy of the big book. Read it. Read it to page 184. And by the time you get to 184, you'll have a completely different understanding of this disease, this infliction, and what it does to families and people. It's a horrible thing. God did not create this. The accuser did. It's one of his most powerful tools. Sex would be the first, lust. Second would be alcohol. And the third would be greed. And in some way, shape, or form, most alcoholics put all three of those together. And it's a nice big bow, and the accuser just loves it. And God doesn't move 1 inch from your side during this whole time. You know, Mike, one of the things that I realized in my spiritual walk was that a sinner looks for the difference between right and wrong. A sober man looks for the difference between right and almost right. We no longer want to push that envelope to see how far we can push someone away and still keep them within an arm's length in our safety. Resentments play a big deal into that. How does one get rid of a resentment? Because everybody listening here has a resentment against somebody. highly unlikely that you've gone your life without carrying a resentment. Maybe it's the dog when you were 9 that chased you down on the paper route and bit you. Maybe it was a lady across the street that wouldn't corral her children and her children bullied you. Maybe it was the man across the street when you were 35 and you were having kids and you were trying to raise kids, and that fool played his stereo way too loud when the kids were playing. Maybe it's an ex-wife. Maybe it's your parents. We have resentments. And how did you describe them before? Because I love the way you said that.
Refilling an old hurt over and over again.
How do you get rid of them?
Well, first you have to know what it is. A resentment for me was... What I found out when I started examining my resentments is there was a lot of deception in them. There was
being deceived or you deceiving others?
The resentment itself was not completely true.
Okay.
There was a kernel of truth in the situation, but then I was lying to myself about those things, and when I started to examine them honestly, and you see, you come to a point in the process of the steps where you say, okay, I'm going to be honest no matter what that cost me. And so I had made that decision.
But see, here's what's interesting. You can trust your sponsor. I mean, I hear Lila, you've been around a lot longer than I have. You two about the same time. You're 27?
28.
28, you're 26. I very rarely hear about the betrayal of a sponsor with a sponsoree. I know it does happen, but very rarely. Am I wrong on that?
I didn't have an issue with that per se.
All right.
But my resentments were not the whole truth, and I finally decided that I was going to have to get honest.
But who were you keeping the whole truth from?
Myself.
I mean, God knew the whole truth.
Well, God always does. Yes.
Okay. You're right, by the way.
It's how you lead your life. I mean, you're constantly telling half-truths to yourself, so you can keep going. If you were to tell the whole truth, it'd be very debilitating.
Yeah. But the only
with the tools that we had before we came into the program.
But you're only lying to yourself. That's what's so amazing. We find that those lies that we tell don't have the impact on those people around us like they do on our own selves.
Right.
So how do you get rid of it?
You asked me, how do I get rid of it? Well, the first thing I had to do was see what resentment was doing to me, and I didn't know that before. See, that was information that was brand new to me, that resentment was actually causing me pain, just hanging on to that anger. Anger causes pain. I didn't know that. That was a learning experience.
Yeah.
And so I could identify where some of my pain was coming from. But you asked me how I got rid of it, and I'll tell you one of the things that really changed everything for me was I discovered that when I was staying angry at someone, what I had done is I had to some extent dehumanized them. Dehumanized them. I had taken away a portion of their humanity and made them subhuman in my mind, which gave me permission to call them names. And I would call them names because that's a whole process, a whole psychological process that you go through when, you know how you back in the Jim Crow days, you couldn't possibly stand there and watch somebody hang a black person, an African American, if you thought they were human. You see, that's what really made it possible.
That's the whole abortion issue
for them. Exactly,
it's not a human.
It's not a human being.
Zygite or whatever they're called.
It's a piece of flesh or something. And what I found out that I was doing was I was lying to myself about who they were, and I went through a process of, I'll call it a process of giving them back their humanity. Just saying, and here's how I did it. I said, you know what? They've got some faults, but I found out I've got faults too. So if they're mistake-making human beings, I'm a mistake-making human being myself. I want forgiveness. Maybe I can forgive them. And that gave me the ability, once I raised them back up to human level, and I lowered myself back down to human level where I belonged, it made it possible for me to say, hey, you know what? Let's cut our losses here. I'm tired of being angry.
Yeah, tired of being sick and tired.
I'm just tired of being, and anger does make you sick.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. I had never heard that before, but that is exactly what we do.
Yeah.
We dehumanize them.
Mike D has been my guest today. His new book, Letting God In, One Alcoholic Talks to Another. You can always go to mikedauthor.blogspot.com. If you need help, if you want to talk to somebody, call Lila, call Bob, call me, call Mike. But just call, okay? That's why we do this every day. Please call. And as Mike said, tonight, before you lay your head on a pillow, think of somebody you've been carrying a resentment against for days, weeks, months, years, most of your life, maybe. And tonight, forgive them. See you tomorrow.